Greetings. Thank you for joining us tonight. Welcome to Patiently Waiting for Nothing, our weekly podcast. My name is Shemsu-t, and each week we're bringing you an episode of our book or my book that I wrote over 20 years ago. I am so excited to share this work with you because what's going on in the world today is exactly what this book helps you to go through. And I'm really excited that that we have time for this, right? Everyone is sitting inside or we're not as busy as we have been normally. And tonight's conversation is my favorite. It's about prayer. And it's a different way of looking at prayer. It's not your typical, and I think we probably use that word or that term or that concept. We use it so loosely that we sometimes don't realize that there is a very distinct power, a very potent communication that we gain when we utilize prayer. So tonight is going to be different from our previous conversations because I'm going to be sharing with you the metaphysical teachings of prayer based on my living, based on my knowing. And the reason that I feel so capable of being able to share this with you is because prayer has been the one thing that has consistently supported change in my life since I was extremely young. And I really want to demonstrate to you the difference between how prayer has been effective for me and then sometimes why it's ineffective for others. It's not that I'm better than or I know I have some hookup, but I promise you, it is a way that our prayers get lost, and all of it depends on us, right? So before I actually start sharing my stories, tonight I want to read to you from an excerpt from the book, and the title is Prayer. And inside of this beautiful book, I love this book. I love this book because it really does nurture me in times when there's no one else to talk to. So it's not just because it's something that I've written, but I feel like it was my soul providing something to me, and now we're sharing it. Okay, so let's talk about prayer, and we're going to use this reading from Patiently Waiting for Nothing. And if you're reading with me, let's see, I believe I'm on page 33. Today, I practice honoring my thoughts and words as powerful creators of my future. So that's the quote that's in the book that goes before the actual conversation. Prayer. In the midst of my Creator, I bestow the words that yearn for release and understanding. Even when I don't pray, my words still reach heaven. The universe records everything that I think and say. I am not judged, I am corrected by my ignorance. May I learn to choose wisely and precisely my thoughts and my admonitions. If all that I say and think is prayer, then how can I separate my communication from what I want God to hear and what is only for me to say to myself and someone else. God is someone else. God is all. The entire universe is God. Your words can never be secret. You breathe the air of the very life source that you attempt to hide from. Is it really possible for you to hide from yourself? The challenge of our living is to be solely responsible for what is created in our lives and in the world. My words and thoughts create the world. Every word is a form of prayer. What I say, think, and do is recorded in the universe and played back to me. God can only create. The substance of life is designed only to grow and expand, not to punish or destroy. We do this on our own. Prayer changes things. And that's the end of that section. And as I was reading that and looking at the world today, do I want to take responsibility for what's going on? I mean, really look at that. But as you look at that, examine how you talk to yourself and others about the world. How do you talk? How do you communicate with yourself and others about your life? I mean, really, do you think that God only hears us when we sit down or bend down on our knees and clap our hands together? That's the sign, okay, God, listen to me now, because everything else that I've said needs to be dismissed. No, we're not separated like that. We really have to own that we are very much so a component of God, an instrument in the universe. And we have just as much responsibility for creating what's going on as we do when we look and think someone else is doing it. Now, I know that sounds like a bit much, but I want to tell you, my mother was placed in a mental institution when I was 5 years old. But one of the things that I remember about her is that she taught my sister and she taught us how to pray. And it was a very simple prayer. I know that most of you remember it. My mommy lay me down to sleep, right? I don't like that particular prayer now. But anyway, she taught us how to get on our knees and respect that there was a God in heaven that could hear us. Now imagine how I felt that at 5 years old, my mother disappeared from my life, and I was actually told that she was visiting a friend. Now, usually you think that's going to be for a short period of time, so it's okay. But as days and weeks and months passed, it was very lonely for me. I was the baby girl. And I could not imagine that my mother would, first of all, leave without saying goodbye, or that she would be gone away for so long without communicating. So the only thing I could do was pray to God. Do you know that when we actually saw her about 6 months later, she was in a mental institution with a straitjacket on, and she didn't even know who I was. So I felt a huge disconnection from life because my mother was my life. But here she was, not even knowing who I was. But she had taught me how to pray. And so one of the things that I prayed about was how to help her find her mind, right? Your mother lost her mind. Well, I know how to find anything, so let me go in search of it. Well, the part that really made me check myself was when we had to go live with my grandmother, and on her dresser, she had this wooden block, and it was a two-tone block so that you could read the letters clearly. And clearly, the letters said, prayer changes things. And I saw that all the time on my grandmother's dresser during the disappearance of my mother. So it sent me into a deep study. I didn't realize that I was such an introverted child at that time, but I knew that there was answers inside of prayer. And it wasn't till many years later when I actually broke my hip, thigh, and knee at 17, and I was introduced to a book called The Power of Your Subconscious Mind. Now, you heard me talk about that in a few of the previous podcasts, so I won't go through that again. But it really demonstrated to me that our communication has to reach a part of ourselves before we can even tap into the vault, or the actually it's the super consciousness that actually holds this universe together. And in order for us to have that clearing, it's important for us to be loving, kind. I mean, really, to hold a grudge or to be unforgiving is not it's not clear enough for you to hear the intuitive knowing in which the universe is speaking to you. So I remember, and I've had some pretty challenging life lessons, but I remember having some things happen to me in which I thought other people were doing something to me, and I would pray for these people. You know, God, change them, make them stop treating me in this way, and whatever, right? And every time that I would pray for someone else, God would literally have me like initiate a conversation to create a better relationship with that person, or to clear the slate, or to open up so that forgiveness could happen. And I used to be so mad at God. I would say, but why do I have to do that? They're the person who's wrong. And this is sometimes what really behooves me. Every single time that I pray, it's me that changes. It's me that has to take action. It's me that's given intuitive knowledge about do this, do that. It's me that has to really correct who I'm being. So to sit and pray opens up communication so that you can actually hear direction from God. So did or listen, I'm saying God, I don't even like to use that term, but that's a, pretty, common term that everyone can hear. But whatever you call source, universe, whatever you call, the divine intelligence that's guiding your life. This power is always with you. This force, this energy is always with you. So you want to begin being responsible for how you tap in to that source and really become partners and actually see, I just read to you, every word that you say is prayer. Every thought that you think. Whoa, do you see the level of responsibility that puts on you, on all of us? That I have to manage my language as though it's going to literally, literally create a world in which I want to live? Yes, yes. Now, I want to share with you. Here is one of the metaphysical teachings. Remember, I mentioned the power of your subconscious mind. Well, Dr. Joseph Murphy wrote that book, and he wrote several other books. And one book that I read in 1983, he literally deciphered the 23rd Psalms and its metaphysical meaning. And I actually blogged about this, maybe 10 years ago. And I found this and I want to share it with you. Okay. So this is really my favorite verse, probably in the whole Bible. And I'm going to read to you each verse. And then I'm going to tell you what that verse means. Okay. Let's start off here. The Lord is my shepherd. I shall not want. The original translation of the word Lord was law. So we can say without a doubt that the laws of the universe governs all energy. Subsequently, if the law is guiding me or shepherding me, then I have no need to want for anything. All that we need is already provided. Here's the next one. He maketh me to lie down in green pastures. Again, the translation of he is not gender specific, yet it refers to the governing source of the universe. So when we allow ourselves to be guided by the laws of the universe, we find that we can lie down in beautiful, peaceful surroundings, unaffected by the noise of the world. He leadeth me beside the still waters. Still waters run deep, which means when we are comfortable with security and peace within ourselves, then we are not agitated or restless regarding the things going on around us. He restoreth my soul, and he leadeth me. Because we understand the flow, the guidance, and the laws of the universe, we can rest assured that when life comes at us hard, we will be restored and our path will be lit so that we are able to see the direction of travel. In the paths of righteousness, so he leadeth me in the path of righteousness. When we are aligned with the universal laws, we understand what it means to be conscious of all energy in the flow, so that all we do is for the well being of the whole and not just our selfish fulfillment of personal desires. He leadeth me in the path of righteousness for his name's sake. We do what is right for the sake of the whole, and those whose name we honorably respect, like our parents, our elders, our ancestors. This is why we must bring back the tradition of pouring libation to our ancestors and calling their names on a daily basis so that we remember that we are here in their name's sake. Yea, though I walk through. And there are times when we will meet with energy that seems to throw us off balance. And really, what they are doing is assisting us in seeing areas where we are required to strengthen. So all there is to do is keep walking through and staying present to the guidance from within you. Yea, though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, and should we happen to enter into the valley of death, we realize it is just an illusion. Energy does not die. It may change frequencies or alter its appearance depending on the conduit, but it doesn't die. I will fear no evil. Death is not evil. It is part of a recycling process designed to assist us in elevating our capacity to hold and distribute light. When the body is worn out, the spirit has to use another vehicle to continue its work. There is no need to fear death. Energy, spirit, it's eternal. I will fear no evil, for thou art with me. The laws of the universe are with us in everything that we do, whether we believe there is a God or not. However, when we trust this process, we can be certain that we will always be cared for, no matter what is going on in the world. Thy rod and thy staff, they comfort me. A shepherd uses a rod to give a firm direction to the flock they are leading, which tells them, go this way. Firm, gentle, directive. The staff is used sometimes when the direction is ignored and something a little more forceful is needed. We call that correction and discipline. Thou prepares a table before me. As we surrender ourselves to the flow of the universe, we become one with all of nature and all of life. As this is done, a feast is always available for you to eat. Thou preparest the table before me in the presence of mine enemies. Even as others may wish you harm, because they do not understand the blessings being bestowed on you, they are still witness to the delicious abundance of God and the opportunity for their very transformation is inspired. Thou anointest my head with oil. Oil is representative of the healing nature of the universal laws. When we align with this juice, this energy that everything surrenders to, our illness and disease subsides as well. Unless, of course, your ego needs them for something. My cup runneth over. Once a cup is full, the momentum of the universe continues to move through the open spigot. It just keeps pouring it on. The more you receive, the more you give. Thus, the more you give, the more you receive. Surely goodness and mercy shall follow me. One who flows with the generosity of the universe tends to stay connected to the source. They receive abounding mercy while others suffer, attempting to bend the laws to their will. Surely goodness and mercy shall follow me all the days of my life. This meaning is evident and addressed directly in the next statement. And I will dwell in the house of the Lord forever. When we are bonded in our relationship to the law, we stay there, being grateful for the wisdom, the protection, the guidance, the abundance, the peace, and the joy. Forever will we seek to live in complete balance and surrender to the laws of the universe. Amen. Ashe. And I want to give you a little homework. I want you to pull out your own Bible. And I want you to go to the 23rd Psalms. And I want you to read that anew, like it's the first time. And I want you to see how those words dance differently inside of your soul so that you can hear a deeper level of understanding and commitment to the responsibility you have, the responsibility you have to creating life. Now, I'm not telling you that every prayer that you pray is to be answered. In my own experience, I have had 80% of my prayers answered. A larger number of prayers answered than anyone that I know that goes to church every Sunday. And I know the reason that is because I do trust the relationship that I have with God. I trust the relationship that I have with the universe. So when I'm praying, I'm not just asking for what it is that I want, but also the guidance and the preparation that it takes to receive that. You hear people praying all the time to be rich or to have millions. But there's a responsibility to richness. And so you don't get it instantly, but you'll find yourself growing and being responsible to how you deal with every penny that you have now. If you're not responsible with the money that you have now, the universe, and it's not even a judgment call. You just can't handle it. You don't understand or understand the true value of currency. And that's even your energy, currency, your energy, your personal energy is a form of currency. It is the real wealth, it's the true wealth. But okay, that's a different conversation. Okay, so, okay, I did ask you to read the 23rd Psalms, and for yourself, allow that to speak to you. And I also want you to start listening to how you talk on a regular basis. A regular basis. Are you a negative speaker? Yeah, well, probably a lot of negativity goes on with you. That doesn't mean that you can't call a spade, but you don't have to judge it. You can say it's a spade without making it something bad. You can observe, you can look at it, and you can see that that's what it is. I remember being in high school. As a matter of fact, I didn't even want to go to high school because no one in my family ever graduated. Well, I shouldn't say family. So my grandmother raised five of us in the same house, and I was the youngest of five, three of which were my first cousins. And my then it was my sister and I. And for some reason, no one ever made it through high school. And so when I graduated from eighth grade, I did not want to go to high school because I knew something was wrong with high school because my my the people in my house were smart. My sister was brilliant. My sister taught me, oh my God, she taught me everything. I was so smart because every time she went to school, she would come home and teach me. So I knew that there was something wrong with high school and I didn't want to go. And so all I ever prayed for was to go to college. I used to read so many books about traveling the world and universities and how people would gather in these groups and they would study things and they would pick each other's brain and there was all this intellectual conversation. I got so excited about that. I just had to go to college. Well, no one in my family was interested in college. I mean, right? Education was not that big of a deal back when I was growing up. But I literally, after I read the book, The Power of Your Subconscious Mind, and I started praying and visualizing myself walk across the stage to graduate and actually go to college, I had no idea how that would happen. But the night that I graduated, one of my teachers came up to me, and I am forever, and I'll talk more about that in a little bit. But she came up to me, Miss Leggett, and she said, if we don't get you out of Chicago, you're going to die. And she may not even remember that because the impact that it had on me made a huge difference in my life because she didn't just say that. She gathered together her buddies, Miss Adams, Mr. Baker. I mean, there were Mr. Gibbs. There were other people. And, we have to get Rita out of Chicago. And they did. They devised a plan. They talked to a college. They paid for me to take the PSAT. The clerk in the office, who was Miss Leggett's mom, she bought me an airline ticket. The security guards bought my luggage. Uh, and I'm leaving to go to college by myself. And my grandmother is still in dismay. She wasn't even supportive. She said, Black people don't go to college, so okay. And I got on that blue line from 53rd Street, walked up to 55th, got on the red line, rode it to the blue line, took the blue line to O'Hare with my purple overalls on. And I remember sitting on the phone with my best friend Joyce, and I almost missed the plane because I didn't know how far the gate was because I had to stop and tell her that I had made it to the airport. And I had to run. to get to the seating area. I had never flown before. I had no idea what that looked like. But I made it. And I made it to Sioux City, Iowa. And I remember sitting on that plane and saying, "Thank you, God, for answering my prayer. I'm going to college." That was huge for me. It was huge because there was no way that I could have figured that out. And there was no one asking, there was no one checking until Miss Leggett said, "We have to get you out of here." So it was something that saved my life. And that was a very definitive point in my life when I knew, you know, that God hears me when I pray. And also when I broke my hip, thigh, and knee, right? God, that healing thing is powerful. I've healed much more than that, or we've healed, the universe, we've healed much more than that. But so I want you to consider that when you pray, the first part that you're speaking to is your higher self. There's a self in you that's listening. And then that self is actually moved by your emotions. So if you're angry, you're actually asking to receive something back in anger. If you're sad, you're asking to receive something back that's sad, right? So you want to be responsible to go in your prayer or when you're really wanting something, you want to check your emotions and you want to speak in trust and belief, right? You want to know that God hears you and not that God feels sorry for you. God doesn't feel sorry for you. God is no respecter of person. God doesn't look like, "Oh, poor baby, let me." No, 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 no. You're powerful beings. You are a spark of God. You have it all. And you want to remember that your higher self is listening for how you address that aspect of yourself. And so when you're listening and you're uniting yourself to the power of God, to the power of the universe, and you're trusting and believing, then all there is to do is to let go. Let go. You don't have to keep talking about it to anyone, not even to yourself. You're allowing. You're going on about your life knowing that you have released that care into the universe. And if you get into a funk where you can't let it go into your prayer mode again. But again, look and make sure you're not doing that poor me. You're not a poor me at all. There's nothing poor about you. There's nothing poor about this universe. If prayer changes things, the first thing that it shall change is you. You will be the person that is changed. And yes, there is power in numbers. So, when you pray with somebody else, or, I love to talk about married people, when you kundalini that energy and you give it to the universe, man, prayers erupt. I mean, it's magical. It's magical, right? So, one of my last prayers that I want to share with you, Um, and it's in honor of my sister. I'm telling you, she taught me so much, and I'm just grateful. I do pour libation. I have plants in my room, and I pour libation to my mommy, my grandmother, and my sister regularly. But this is a prayer, the prayer of Jabez. In First Chronicle 4, verses 9 through 10, we find a short prayer uttered by an obscure man, Jabez, who was more honorable than his brothers. Now Jabez called on the God of Israel, saying, O Lord, bless me indeed and expand my territory. Keep your hand on me and keep evil from me that I may not cause pain. Now, can you hear the power? Can you hear his request? Can you hear his surrender? Keep your hands on me and keep me that I may not cause pain. So, owning the responsibility of himself as well to do good unto life. So, he's making a request. Again, if we look at the word Lord and see it's a law, bless me indeed and expand my territory, expand my responsibility. And when you're having your responsibility expanded, this means that you can't be bitter about things that happen, or you can't be angry that your client is calling you and needs you in the moment. You can't be upset that you're having to solve problems over and over again, because that's what expansion looks like. In order to have your territory expanded, you have to be challenged to see what you can handle. I like to tell people, when you take on responsibility, you get really good at solving your problems. Excuse me. And then you get a reward. And the rewards you get for solving your problems is what? Bigger problems. Yeah, that's your reward. Because obviously you're good at this. And then because you get bigger problems and you get good at that, you're then going to get other people's problems. So if you're good at solving your problems and bigger problems and other people's problems, the universe is like, oh, yes, let's get some more problems over here. This is a leader right here. That I'm going to expand that territory right there. And then you get problems of the world to solve. Yes, more problems. That's what true leadership is about. The ability to solve problems. So when you're asking to have your territory expanded, or when you're asking for an abundance of money, or when you're asking for greater opportunities, you have to be able to deal with those little things that come at you every day. And you have to adjust your attitude so that you can tell that you're growing. And you know how you can tell? You become more gracious. You become more patient. You become more kind. You even become excited about being able to do something. Oh, oh, look at this. Oh my God. Oh my God. There's a flood. I get to solve this problem in my basement. Oh, there's shit coming up. I mean, there's stuff coming up. Oh, let me see how yeah. And then you got to clean it all up. But once it's done, you found out a few things about your house and about yourself. But expanding your territory looks like that. Because if you don't want to clean up the shit in your own house, I promise you, you probably won't get much more than that. And you probably won't get a much bigger house either. Because you have to grow into that. You have to grow into where you are. So, yeah, you go and you read that. And you can even take it on. I remember it was a book. I gave my sister a copy of that book, The Prayer of Jabez. And I'm sure there are many ministers who have preached on it, talked about it. But just remember, with every expansion, you're going to be challenged. And as long as you take on the little things and you find actually the ability to complete them without complaining, it's even simple things, taking the garbage out without complaining, washing the dishes without complaining, cleaning your room without complaining, making your bed without complaining. That's how you test yourself and move to your own next level. I love what Tanya Smith, I had said when we were speaking a few weeks ago. Uh, I said, we are human beings having a spiritual experience. She said, oh, no, no, no. We are spiritual beings, period. Right? We are spiritual beings. This is a spiritual place. Earth is spirit. We are all spirit. All these lessons are spiritual. Everything that we're doing is about the nurturing and the evolution of our souls. And that's why it's important for us to even have this time right now to do more spiritual work, to look at ourselves on a deeper level, to encourage ourselves to look at the dark side, to even look in the world and see all the darkness there. And then when we're praying, to actually use words that empower our ability to make a difference. So that when we pray, we know that the first thing that's going to change is going to be within us, within me. The man in the mirror, the woman in the mirror. And now, I just want to thank you guys for listening to me this evening. I know it's something different. And even if it's only one person listening, that's what I learned from Miss Leggett, the teacher that helped me to go to college or direct me towards college. I'm the one person. She saw something in me. I didn't see it. No one else in my family saw it. I tell you, I was, I was a black sheep like there was no other black sheep. you know, and whatever it was that she saw in me, it took me years later to see it, many years later to see what she saw. But now I know the importance of reaching even just one person, because the light that she lit in me, that light has really made a difference for thousands of people who are now in the world, making a difference for thousands of more people who are also in the world, making a difference for thousands of more people. So don't think you have to be famous or everybody has to know who you are. Even just one. Even if you make a difference for just one person, you don't know who that one person is and the difference they may make for others. So, as we end this conversation tonight, I want to remind you about a event that I am part of on Sunday. And I'm excited about that event because it's a larger stage than this one, but it's also really bonding energy with some amazing healers and teachers and coaches and astrologers and ministers. Oh my God. You know, even when we were on a call the other day, you could feel the energy of just the energy of the call. It was amazing. And so we're going to have a conversation on Sunday called Consider the Unknown. And I will actually be talking about spiritual maintenance and going into some specific things to do during this time. But there will be 6 speakers, and you will have the opportunity to learn so much. And I invite you to find us. We're on Eventbrite. Register. It's a free conversation, and it's different. And I wish that people knew that there there's a lot of conversations about business. There's a lot of conversations about wealth. There's a lot of conversations about finding the right relationship or the right person for you. But if you are not grounded in your own spiritual essence, the joy that's available to you, or the joy that could be available to you in those things that you aspire, you will miss most of the time, because if we're not grounded in our spirit, we're not present. We're tending to be looking over here trying to figure out who's looking at us, or who's my enemy, or who's jealous of me, or who don't like what I have on, or what else can I spend my money on, when really what there is to do is to know who you are and really honor that. Like, honor it in such a sacred way that you watch how you treat your avatar, your temple, that you don't neglect yourself, that you honor yourself to the point that you get it. You're worthy. You are loved. You are wanted. And you are needed here right now. Every single one of us. We signed up for this. We all signed up for this. And we're here for a reason. So as we pray our way through it, and that's the name of the book, Pray Your Way Through It by Dr. Joseph Murphy. And that's when he went through the 23rd Psalms. And I haven't read that book in years, but I tried to give you a glimpse of that. But it is you that the world is waiting on. And I'm asking you to look differently at prayer and honor yourself inside of that. Honor your communication to God with every word that you say. You keep saying it, it shows up. It really does. And that's just the law. It's not even a punishment. It's just the law. Okay? All right, everybody. Next week, next Thursday, I tell you, the universe really shows out with me sometime. But next Thursday, our conversation is about racism. And we're looking at it in a different way, too. But we did write about it in the book, and you can purchase the book, Patiently Waiting for Nothing. You can get it on Kindle. I think it's no charge if you have Prime, if you have Kindle Prime, you can get it free. There may be some copies left. I think the last time I saw there were only 5 copies left on Amazon if you want physical copies. And I'll probably reprint that book later this year, or for sure next year. But the conversation, racism, is going to be with one of our Master Force coaches, Renee. And we're working our way through it now because now there's so much going on. I mean, there is so much going on, but this is all to help us grow. This is part of expanding our territory. It really is. It seems dark, but it really is to have us get to see our light and get us to see how powerful we are in the face of it. So join us here next Thursday at 7:30. And in the meantime, please keep taking care of yourself and just know that within us there is peace. Talk to you soon.